This
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is July Open Book Club, or well, there isn't a book this time, so it's just open discussion time, open discussion club. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm glad actually. I'm glad to be back in this space. Um,
Mm,
not that we went anywhere, but I guess travel can do that. It feels like just traveling just feels like a long time has passed by, and um it's only, yeah, we didn't miss any meeting, but it just feels like, good to be back. um yeah, to be in this container of beautiful souls and amazing
mm,
hearts. um Today is gonna be really just time to reflect, time to discuss. We'll probably read some poetry, um,
mm,
and discuss that, or maybe discuss anything else that comes up.
mm.
Um, but before we get into it, maybe if we can take 2 to 3 minutes to settle in and arrive and be here and choose to be here. So if we can just take, um, yeah, couple of minutes. Um, if you wanna adjust your posture, feel free to close your eyes or maybe soft gaze and focus on your breath. As you inhale, feel the sensations in your body, the space that is created. And as you exhale, feel the sensations also in your body. And drop in that heart space that space that's closer to the core of your being. That space that allow for presence to emerge, knowing that it's here all along. And as you feel that presence, allow it to emerge with you as you come back into this space, into the room that you're in, into the space that you're in. invite this presence with you as you come back. Knowing that even though we're in different parts of the world, we are somehow connected through that presence. And whenever you feel ready, feel free to open your eyes and be here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for being here. Um, I love uh, this group and um, being here with no real agenda, really. Um, such a freeing, such a freeing feeling. It's kind of interesting. There's a term that I learned recently when I was in Turkey. I went to a sema retreat in Turkey. It's a 5 day, 5 night continuous sema. People from all over the world gathered to sing and whirl together and chant and be of service. And I got to spend some time with a Sufi teacher and his dervishes, seeing them operate um, and how they move together was really fascinating. One of the ways that I've seen them operate is that they have a goal in mind. They have an intention to go somewhere or be somewhere, and yet they're completely open and receptive to how the journey may unfold. So turns out that there's a term for that within the Sufi system, within Sufism, and it's called dhuhurat, which translates to manifestations. So the teacher, the Sufi teacher was, when he would say, okay, this is where we're gonna go, or we're gonna have this kind of gathering at this time. But keep in mind dhuhurat. Keep in mind that there might be some manifestations that may alter the plan, that we may want to gather, at whatever, 8 o'clock in this place, but some things might happen. We might end up gathering at 8:30 in the opposite direction. So he kind of invited us to stay receptive and open to signs in how we're feeling internally and how we move around. So this gathering kind of uh, maybe small little hints of that. We set up an intention to gather, and yet maybe we have some ideas of what we're going to be talking about, maybe not, but the conversation or the as things kind of manifest, as things come up to the surface, we'll engage with them in that way. Um, but to experience that in real life, quote unquote, right? Like just lived out there. Um, in the beginning, it was a little bit frustrating because you have the controlling side that says, "But we said we gotta meet this time," or we gotta do this at this time or that time. So to relax into that posture, to relax into that way of movement was definitely something new. Um, and it's beautiful. And I'm feeling the same thing right now. So just want to invite us maybe into that space also, into that space of manifestations and as we explore this. Um, our brother Abraham is here, manifested just as we're speaking about
What's up,
manifestations.
guys? I just wrapped up my work day. What's up,
Uh,
David? How you doing?
Going.
Oh, good. Hi, Antoine.
Hey, Abe, beautiful, beautiful logo.
Oh, this is my work Zoom.
Amazing.
Ah, happy birthday, bro.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Oof, thank you, thank you, thank you. What you guys talking about?
We're just talking about manifestations. We're talking about the term uh Dhuhurat manifestations within the Sufi system and moving through life, being open and receptive to how the journey may unfold. I was just sharing um, that this meeting kind of feels like that because we don't necessarily have a particular agenda. However, things may unfold and manifest. And as I was saying that, you jumped on. So
Mm,
beautiful manifestation, I guess.
mm-hmm, mm,
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I had in mind also was maybe read some poetry. Um, when while traveling, I got introduced to, well, not introduced, I guess maybe reintroduced or remember the story of Al-Hallaj, um, the mystic, Sufi mystic. Um, I don't know what time period. I think maybe in the 900s. Um,
He was
he's
pretty early on.
Yeah, pretty early on. He's the one who, you know, got executed for saying I am the truth. Um, well, in reality, it wasn't that that's the story, right? This is another thing that I've learned is that that's the story that we know is that he got crucified because he just went in the street saying Ana al-Haq, I am the truth. Um, and during that time, the conservatives or Muslims were like, yo, you're crazy, you can't be saying stuff like that. But in reality, that wasn't the thing that got him in trouble. It was way more stuff that he was saying that were more political, um, that really got him in trouble. And one of the things that pushed it over the edge was he was going out to the neighborhood and telling whoever can't make it to perform the pilgrimage to go to Mecca, can't perform Hajj. He said, I built my own Mecca in my backyard, my own Kaaba. If you can't afford going to Mecca, come to my backyard and do it in the back. And that got him in trouble. Because he started messing with the money of going to Mecca. So they're like, man, you're messing with our money, you know. Um, so he got thrown into jail and eventually he kept saying a whole bunch of political stuff and uh, yeah, they executed him. Um, so remembering him and his story and something about his archetype that's so challenging, that I wanted to kind of revisit his poetry. So maybe if you guys are cool with it, maybe we'll read a piece or two, um, and we'll go from there and see what what comes from that.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it.
Do it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. Um, let's see. So this first one
Can
is
you share your
called
screen?
yes.
Thanks, bro.
I'm gonna read it in Arabic first and then in English, if that's okay. Just so that we can hear the Arabic rhyme, because in English it really
Hmm.
doesn't do any justice.
Hmm.
Um, so in Arabic, and it's pretty short, it's not that long. This is Al-Hallaj. He said, والله ما طلعت شمس ولا غربت إلا وحبك مقرون بأنفاسي ولا خلوت إلى قوم أحدثهم إلا وأنت حديثي بين جلاسي ولا ذكرتك محزونا ولا فرحا إلا وأنت بقلبي بين وسواسي ولا هممت بشرب الماء من عطش إلا رأيت خيالا منك في الكاس ولا قدرت على الإتيان جئتكم سعيا على الوجه أو مشيا على الراس ويا فتى الحي إن غنيت لي طربا فغنني وأسفا من قلبك القاسي ما لي وللناس كم يلحونني سفها ديني لنفسي ودين الناس للناس. So this is the poetry of Al-Hallaj. It's just so beautiful how the rhymes in it, the sounds, just even reading it. I understand it, but I don't necessarily understand the depth of it when I read it in Arabic. But the rhymes, uh, it has a beautiful sound and melody to it. Um,
A really cool rhythm to it too. And
yeah,
like I love the way like every other line, it's like it ends on like a sort of consonant, and then the next line is on a ya, right?
yep, yeah,
Every other one is and then
abs
it's using a lot of memes and hard stops for the alternating lines.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Like just the
these,
way the sound,
the ending of the alternating ending, um, the meme,
right?
the e, the s sound. That's the one that kind of stands out the most for me. Um, yeah, yeah.
And then
This
in
is
the beginning too, right? It's always starting with what is it? Walla and illa, walla.
yeah, wallahi. That's a big start.
Uh-huh.
That's a real big
Why is
start.
it what does that wallahi mean? Like, why is it like a wa and then Allah? He, like, what is the significance of that word?
So wallahi means I swear to God.
To swear to God.
Yeah.
Okay.
The the wa is a swearing, um,
Like a
so
pronouncement.
yeah, it's a pronouncement, yeah. But in general, wa just means and, right? So if I say
Also kind of like saying like listen up.
right, exactly, exactly. Listen, wallah. Yeah, it's there's different swearing in Arabic. There's wallahi, which is more it affirms, and then there is tallahi with a ta, and that's swearing not. That one is kind of interesting.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
yeah, negating. Yeah, it's a negate swearing. This one is affirming swear. Um,
tala, tala.
yeah, talla. Talla is a um don't quote me on this. This is what I remember from 10th grade Arabic class, right? So
Okay.
don't quote me on that. Um, but starting with a swear, I mean, that's like listen, you gotta listen, especially in that time. Like that's a listening um yeah, yeah, that's a hey, listen up. Um and even in English, right? I swear to God, like that's a big um so he says this is the English translation by Dina al-Mahdi. I swear to God, the sun has never risen or set without your love being entwined with my breath. Neither have I confided in anyone except to talk about you. Never have I mentioned your name in gladness or in sorrow, unless you were in my heart, wedged in my obsessive thoughts. Nor have I touched water to quench my thirst without seeing a glimpse of you in the glass. Were it possible for me to reach you, and I would come to you at once, crawling on my face or walking on my head. I say to our minstrel that if he is to sing, let him sing about my grief at the harshness of his heart. What cause have the people to foolishly blame me? They have their own faith, and I have mine. That's, that's Al-Hallaj, yo.
I love that.
That's Al-Hallaj. Um, yeah, yeah. One of the lines um, that kind of stand out is this: neither have I confided in anyone except to talk about you. It's an interesting translation. I'm not 100% sure if it's exact translation. Yeah, like the Arabic um it's not as direct as to talk about you. Like actually this conversation is very it's pretty much what Al-Hallaj is talking about. That in every moment that he's talking to someone, any kind of conversation, anything that he's talking about, in the heart of it, at the core of the conversation is the beloved. In any kind of conversation, the image of the merchant that is selling carpet, or the person who's selling tobacco, the person who's pouring the tea, the uh, anything, whatever the the container is of that conversation or the scenario or the experience, he's saying that at the heart, at the core of it, it's my beloved. In every breath, really, I'm just talking, just to talk about my beloved. This gathering is kind of that. The um So that was kind of like the first thing, that line um that stand out. And then this one right here. Nor have I touched water to quench my thirst without seeing a glimpse of you in the glass. ولا هممت بشرب الماء من عطش إلا رأيت خيالا منك في الكاس. خيالا is like almost like imagination or shadow, reflection. And he's seeing himself, really.
That's a real profound point too, right there. About I see it mimicked throughout so many different faiths and religions by the mystics who, in their relationship with God or nature, however you express it, end up returning to themselves and understanding, like, oh, like I see God in myself, like I see God as myself, not just from like intellectual reading or puffed up pride or ego, but there's this enmeshment between them and the beloved. And that final line, I feel like, really speaks to like how whatever culture you're in, as you have a mystical or ecstatic experience, oftentimes you end up having to protect yourself from the mainstream. And that last line, I feel like, speaks to that so directly, so explicitly. What cause have the people to foolishly blame me? They have their own faith and I have mine. I could hear it throughout the poem, his wanting to protect the sacredness of that relationship, to teach at the same time, but also say, back off me a little bit. Like, I'm having my own experience and you have yours.
Mm.
I can imagine whatever faith, once you start having your own really intimate relationship with God, and you start knowing yourself in an experiential way as God, even, um, however you want to say it, big G or small G, there's this pushback from society against that experience.
Mhm. Yeah, so spot
It's
on.
it's it's very threatening to the order of things, right? I mean, it's like saying, it's like distinguishing between what we were talking about before, where, sorry, I have this conversation with my daughter all the time, where like we make a plan to do something. She says, we're going to go do this thing. I said, well, we might do it. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't like construct reality to make something actually happen. Now we can like put causes and conditions into place and hope it happens, right? But it isn't necessarily going to happen. And that isn't to say that something profound doesn't happen, right? Like, or you're like, if I'm even just picking up a glass and looking at water being poured into it, it's no different than walking around the Kaaba because you're experiencing the divine experiencing itself. And so if you're saying like, hey, you can just come to my backyard and like do it there, you're threatening the establishment. Not so different from what Muhammad faced when he, was dealing with all the merchants in Mecca, right? So it's like it's interesting how this repeats, and you have a religion that's found on that very basis, and yet finds itself stuck in its own trap in some ways, right? As it happens with all organized religion,
Exactly.
sort of like becomes its own idol in a way, and then what comes along with that is like all these like structures and rules that are put into place to sort of like, well, this is how it has to happen. And I was like
Exactly.
laughing at some video the other day where it was like, you know, cats are cool because Muhammad said so, right? Then some people are like, dog, what about dogs? Oh, but the thing with dogs is their saliva is bad,
Right, right.
but I know people who see God in their dog.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, And any dog.
Yeah. That's the other thing, right? Well, not the other thing, really, to your point. Um, one of the things that Al-Hallaj would say was that if you're a real Muslim, truly brothers, if you are real Muslims, you would kill me because I am one of three: Hazrat al-Shaitan, Pharaoh, and me. We're the same people. And that got him in a lot of trouble, right? And to be super politically, to take not to be a mystic who's going up the mountain and meditating and getting, reaching this kind of enlightenment kind of a thing, but like he's in the streets, as they say, you know what I mean? Like he's in there, he's charged, he's getting people riled up, and using the work that he's doing not only to shock people, but he's really shocking himself at the same time, right? Like he's anything that he feels, or at least this is my perspective, anything that he feels is trying to box him in, whatever it may be, he's gonna shatter it, right?
He's trying to break through these conditions of his own perception,
Right.
basically.
Oh, Pharaoh is not a good example. Oh, okay, I'm like Pharaoh. Oh, the devil is not good an example. And he's like, nope. He's actually I'm not sure if he's the first person, but he kind of comes from the school of thought that the Iblis, the name for the devil in Islam, or Satan, is was actually a real lover of the beloved. That's the reason why he didn't, because in the Islamic myth, I guess, that Satan was kicked out because he didn't listen to God. God told him, bow down to Adam, as he
Right.
ordered all the angels to bow down to Adam. And they all did except Iblis. He's like, I'm not gonna bow down to Adam. I'm made out of fire, he's made out of clay. But according to Al-Hallaj, he's like, actually, he didn't bow down, not because of I'm made out of fire. That's the external reason. But the internal reason is that he loved God so much that he only bows down to God. He's not going to bow down to anything other than God.
There's
So,
nothing else.
exactly. So, he was saying these ideas during a time that's, you get in a lot of trouble. Matter of fact, even right now, if somebody says stuff like that in certain parts of the world, they will get in a lot of trouble. Um, and but to be able to share some of that poetry, or share some of these ideas in poetry, and have people recite them, um, and hopefully take you take the hints and incorporate that into one's life. I feel I feel a lot of fire when I read his work. I feel inspired. I feel motivated to really break down at those conditions that I construct within myself, or that are imposed upon me, or what have you. It really is inspiring to choose that, to choose to live that way, to say, no, thank you, comfort zone. No, thank you, whatever society's choosing. I'm going to choose otherwise. And this otherwise is a life that is not seeking comfort. If comfort comes, it comes, but it's not being sought after. It's not the intention. Um, I'm not sure how well I'm doing in that department, but It's inspiring.
It's sort of almost like the main like programming of our society, right? So it's hard to fight that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you just like open your social media. It's like either that or like the opposite, you know? It's like just people demonstrating, look at how comfortable I am,
Hmm.
you know, how my life is so like curated, or it's like craziness. But that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people use it for. Right? So I mean, I've been reflecting on that a lot, you know, just having a child and like, she, I gotta like be careful with what I say to her, you know, because I have funny ideas about things and she, she just wants to be like a normal person, right? But I want her to be awake, but I also don't want to like crash her world, which I have done, you know, for certain things. And it just seems so small to me. And it's like monumental to her.
Hmm.
And she's not necessarily in the right place for that to like tear something down like that.
Right.
And so I've had to really like look at like how to be skillful with that with regards to her and other people.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's definitely a different department. Um, yeah, I don't have experience with that, but I can imagine this is just a different arena, right? You know, it's your child, and you know that you have some kind of influence, not even some kind, real heavy influence, and yet at the same time, like you said, you don't want to crash. Like it can be very delicate.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I think, you know, when I first probably read, you know, I was more like anarchist first before I got into sort of like mystical traditions. Not necessarily reading anarchist, but just that's sort of like, I think, where my mind sort of went in my teenage years and like the music I listened to, you know, very transgressive sort of state of mind because I just had experiences which caused things to sort of like kind of crumble, you know, in certain ways. Like, you know, these perceptions that we hold when we're growing up, and then all of a sudden something like really causes it to break apart. And it wasn't easy for me, you know, like, because I didn't really have anyone who I could talk to about it. Like the rest of the kids around me were like, well, you know, I was very fortunate. I had a couple friends that I could relate to, but like, you know, she doesn't necessarily like live in a place where there's
did I lose you? Am I the only one, or
No, he's frozen for us too.
oh,
Yeah,
Hey, Paul.
yeah. Unfortunately, I've been listening for a little while. I got brought in late, and uh, I really don't know what anybody's talking about. So
welcome
I'm just
to
listening.
welcome to the club. We just read a poem by Al-Hallaj, um,
Oh, uh,
which maybe
uh,
I'll
uh,
I'll put it in the chat if you want to check it out. But we'll probably be reading other ones as well.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the first poem, um, and reading it in Arabic definitely does something. Um,
Can you see it, bro?
see what
yeah, yeah,
Paul, you can see the
yeah,
poem
yeah.
he sent in the chat?
Yes, I can. I'm looking at it
Okay.
now.
yeah. There is another poem, but I think Should we read another poem by Al-Hallaj? What are you guys feeling?
Yeah, I'm down. Should we give Paul a moment to, or do you want to?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I've got no instant comment. Not with Halaj.
Yeah, that's fine. We can just go and we'll move along and we'll we'll get all together reading this new poem.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm actually going to share my screen.
And today is just basically having an open discussion about some poetry and different things like that. It's sort of we didn't have a book that we did this month, so it's just open discussion about beautiful things in these writings that Osama's bringing to the table.
Yep. And open to other writings also that if any of you would have any writings. Maybe I'll read the longer one.
Here I
Yeah. This one in Arabic, maybe I'll read the first couple of lines in Arabic actually. And then I'll read the English translation.
sure.
This one is called At-Talbiyah. Kind of like answering the call or answering the command. He says, لبيك لبيك يا سري ونجوائي لبيك لبيك يا قصدي ومعنائي أدعوك بل أنت تدعوني إليك فهل ناديت إياك أم ناجيت إياي يا عين عيني وجودي يا مدى هممي يا منطقي وعباراتي وإعيائي يا كل كلي يا سمعي ويا بصري يا جملتي وتبضائي وتباعيضي وأجزائي يا كل كلي وكل الكل ملتبس وكل كلك ملبوس بمعنائي. This is kind of like the first few lines of this piece. لبيك لبيك in Arabic or in the Islamic even universe, labbaika labbaika is what they say when they're actually doing the pilgrimage. So when they're going towards Mecca, when they're on the pilgrimage, they say, labbaik Allahumma labbaik. We're at your command, oh God, we're at your command. And here again, just like the first poem where he starts with Wallahi, he starts with a swear to God. Here he's starting with labbaika labbaika, at your command, at your command. But he's not saying at your command, God. What he's saying is, here I am at your command, here I am. You are my secrecy and my intimacy. Here I am at your command, here I am. You are my purpose and my meaning. I call you, but is it you who calls me to you? Did I call you? Did I call out to you, or did you call out to me? You are the essence of the source of my existence. You are the reach of my resolve. You who are my logic and my expressions and my gestures. You are all of my entirely. You are all of me entirely. You are my hearing and my seeing. You are my whole and some of me and my parts. You are all of me entirely, and all of it is entirely obscured, and all of you entirely are covered in my meaning. My soul clings to you with intense love until it is spent in ecstasy, and I become a hostage to my longing. I cry over my sorrow, over separation voluntarily from my homeland, and my adversaries please me with my own wailing. I approach, but my fear sets me back, and I am anxious from a longing that takes hold of my deeply hidden insides. What shall I do about an expansiveness that I am in such love with? My friend, my healers have despaired of my affliction. They say, take your cure from him. They say, take your cure of him from him. And I say to them, O people, is the affliction cured by the affliction? My love for my friend pains me and afflicts me. How then shall I complain to my friend of my friend? I gaze upon him and my heart knows him. Nothing can be explained of him except my gestures. Oh, woe to me, to my soul from this soul of mine. Oh, such sorrow in me over me, for I am the source of my trials. I am like one who is drowned, and his hand is seen raised up for help. While he is in an ocean of water, no one knows what I have seen, except what shows in me of my grief. And the one who knows what I've seen of such intense love, in his will is my death and my life. You are the purpose of my seeking. You are what I hoped for. You are my stillness. You are the life of my soul. You are my faith and my world. Tell me, upon my life, you who are my hearing and my seeing, why this going back and forth in my farness and exile? If you are veiled from my eye in the unseen, this heart still keeps you in farness and in nearness. That.
was fire.
Well, do you hear me for one thing?
Yes, we hear you, Paul.
All right. With this poem, as a lot of what Hallaj writes, you're on the precipice, and in one side there is the nothingness of the all, of the nameless, and on the other side there's this strange paradox of one being self and one being the other. And you're dizzy with the duplicity of the truth, and which um, I'm reminded of Mazagon, who, as you know, was the one who uh, in Persia, um, when he was a young man and he was studying Persian, and he was very depressed, um, and he had a vision of Hallaj. He became a disciple of Hallaj actually at that time, and made Hallaj's writings known. The French and a French Catholic, he never converted to Islam. He stayed a Catholic, but he also realized that there was a prophetic spirit, as a lot of people used to say that Hallaj was uh, mimicked what Christ did on the cross. Hallaj did from the gallows in terms of his own sacrifice. Which seems to have been a political ploy. But uh, you know, there are things that you can say, and they but when you're trying to speak of that intimacy that is of the source of our being and of all being, there our words, disappear. But what the beauty of Islam, of Jalaluddin Rumi, of hilarity is that we can speak with a lot more precision about divinity if we want. But in the age that we live in, this time in America, when we're moving into a new mode of communicating. The language of the heart is often lost.
Wait, can you talk about that? What do you mean? That's interesting. The language of the heart is lost. Wait,
Yeah,
is that
well,
true?
no, of course not. It's not true. But it's not recognized. It's not readily recognized. We might the language of the heart is well. Some people think don't know what the heart is, for one thing. I mean, the heart is our gateway into God. It's where it's where we bow down from ourselves and go into the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the deepest sense of the heart. But most people don't. Most people think of the heart as being, I'm sincerely talking to you, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm listening to you with all sincerity for your own sense of the beauty and the wonder. And together, we are reaching out with our words to talk about or to bring forth the mystery of speech, which is, God's self. But God's self is not necessarily myself. Definitely, it's not my ego. In the simplicity of the Gospels, there's this world, the world of commerce, the world of busyness, the world of I've got to make a living, and then there's this real world of heart to heart,
Mm-hmm.
and there, what's sobe? Is that the word sobe? Divine conversation.
Oh, sohbat, yes.
Yeah, sobek. Yeah. Well, I mean that's the best. That's the best you can do, particularly on Zoom.
I mean, sometimes I think about that, and sometimes I have, these conversations of if, this hypothetical kind of question, right? Like if Al-Hallaj was here today, if Rumi, if, um, uh, some of these early Christian saints or whoever, if there
Well,
were.
the thing about it, uh,
Wait,
it's
so wait a second. So, like, if they're here today, right? Like,
right. Okay.
yeah, like, what would it look like? What is the shock like today? What would that look like today? Um, in today's climate. And I know it's a hypothetical question, but it's like what it brings up is kind of different what we read of these people, right? At least that's the feeling
Well,
for me.
yeah, well, I mean, for one thing, the saints, uh, these people, they're still alive,
Hmm.
and so it isn't much that we may think that we can only know them from what we read about them and recite the translations of their of their words and sentiments through whatever through the poets and the scholars. But that's not the reality,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I mean, the reality is that they are alive, and I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Always call upon God first. But once you've called upon God and you're nestled sweetly in the nest of the divine mystery and silence, have a conversation with the saints. They're there, and they will talk to you, and they will talk to you in ways that will surprise you. They are there. They will listen and they will respond in a way. And maybe I'm polytheistic, but I'm not saying that the saints are God, but they definitely live in God and therefore still are very much alive. They don't die. The saints don't die. You know, maybe lots of our ancestors have died and we can't access them anymore. Uh, the saints, they're still alive. They will come to you. Yeah, always through God, always in God. They will. Yeah. God may not have anything specifically to say to us. I mean, most of us are not prophets. And we don't necessarily have to come forth with a new law. Uh, but the saints will. They will talk to you. There is a vibrancy in it. Al-Hallaj obviously is one where for Mazakin, he came forward with vividness. I was just last night actually. I was going through the works of uh, Corbin. I was looking at with some recent a recent book that came out that's discussing Henry Corbin's writings and their effect on stuff. And uh, you know, I mean, Corbin was, you could almost say a disciple of Massacre. And of course, Corbin was the one who brought forth the uh, a lot of the teachings with a esoteric sophistication that's really still unparalleled in the world. Um, the he um, I was in fact I was very much struck with the Corbin's writings that were published in the middle 70s, and I was at the time of the revolution in Iran, and they took the embassy. I was heartbroken because I thought, well, I'll never be able to go to I'll never be able to go to
Oh, you'll never be able to go to Iran?
never go to Iran. And I wanted to. I wanted to see how that esoteric religion was alive and well in Iran. Of course, this is before the theocracy evolved, but the
Never too
the
late, man.
well, no. One, I'm too poor, and two, uh, I've one of the people that left Iran who's done a tremendous service to understanding Shia Islam is Bill Chittick, as you probably are aware of
Mm-hmm.
his right. And I mean, there's a guy who was incredible. The other one was I was looking at the other day, a little more of a scallywag was Peter Lamborn Wilson. He was part of that thing. They were all about a generation ahead of me. But what Bill Chittick has done is tremendous. So there's an incredible amount of good writings and translations available.
Yeah.
Actually, well, I can absorb anymore.
There's new, I just saw there's a new institute that came out actually from
Yes.
people that were,
Rustom's thing. Yeah. I just saw it myself.
oh, the institute, yeah. They're, believe it or not, they're down the street from where I live. Uh, it's they're, I think they're gonna be doing good stuff with Sayyid Hussein Nasr, Chittick, all of
Yeah, this
kind of that
what
whole
is it? Here we
school. Yep. Yep.
yeah, in
Yeah.
the heart. Yeah, I really enjoyed looking at this over the last. I've had it for about a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
I actually I'm a big fan of Rustom. Uh, uh, I mean, he seems to be carrying on. I mean, obviously, Bill Chittick is at the I wouldn't say the end of his career. I mean, look at Nasser. Nasser's still going on. Hosted in Nasser. I mean, his study Quran is excellent for somebody who doesn't know Arabic. As you may, I don't know if you ever looked at his. Have you ever looked at the study
yeah.
Quran?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty awesome.
That's exceptionally good. Very
That's
accessible.
so that's the thing about that I find myself in these periods, and I don't know if because I want to open it up also to hear what Antoine and Abe might say about this.
Yeah.
This I find myself in different phases throughout this journey, and certainly the beginning of the phase is just a very intellectually heavy kind of space where I'm kind of wrestling with ideas, with theories, and reading and all these different papers that I'm trying to get my hands on, and all different kind of books, and um, just understanding theory, kind of like I'm reading about cosmology, which I don't even know. I'm reading about metaphysics. I'm reading about all these different things, and then it kind of shifts into this practical, okay, what does all of this, what does it look like in day-to-day life? How does it all translate into experiments? How does it all translate into practice? How does it all translate into this? And I find myself kind of oscillating between the two, and it's an interesting oscillation because when I'm going into the practice or into the day-to-day, this personalizing theory, kind of like taking the theory from up there and kind of like personalizing it. It seems my experience that I have no appetite for intellectualizing anything. So like a year ago, or maybe, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, even at the thought of Sayyid Hussein Nasr course or something like that, I would like jump on it right away. And now I'm like, it's nice, you know. I don't know how much I can listen to that stuff. So I don't know if you guys have any experience similar to that, where this isolation of going super theoretical, going, like does it go back and forth? And how do you find yourself in that?
For me, I mean, that was beautifully expressed. Thank you for expressing that and giving that prompt for reflection. For me, it started off with experience, and because I was so young, so trauma. I feel like there was an experience before the trauma that I was already attuned to, and then trauma sort of broke me into an experiential space with the divine, and then that taste was just so incredibly blissful that I began to like long for more and more of it. That sort of had me look for words to express what was happening to me. And I looked through religion to find vocabulary to speak to it. But I never, because the experience was so potent, it always was looking for words to help articulate what my internal world and experience was. Um, Never the concepts and everything else like that was secondary to my experience. So when I was reading other things and seeing other things, it was always listening to or for something that matched with what my experience was. And that sort of guided me through the different religions and different traditions to cutting and pasting together my own personal, you know, uh, philosophy, if you will, about the divine in my experience. But then as I kept studying and kept having experience and then looked across the board at everything that I was researching, that's when I began to have the realization that the mystics of these traditions spoke in one voice. And it all matched the voice of what my experience was. And it all pointed to this one source, course, and goal. So yeah, it was like that for me. Any engagement with research or tradition or religion was always secondary to my subjective experience because the experience was so incredibly potent at such a young age.
Mm, that's beautiful. And that, yeah, that makes total sense. Trying to make sense out of or give words to an experience. And it's like, oh, what was that I just experienced? I'm gonna find out. Um, Amazing.
I, experience. I used to have this sort of experience is central. We are slaves to experience. I mean, that's it's part it's where our subjectivity seems to arise from. It's sort of like so. Also, maybe we could say in another way, it's we are limited by our awareness, our consciousness, and you know we don't know where this consciousness came from, and we don't know where it might be taking us. And we could say we're looking at everything going by, but we are this. But the thing about uh, experience is that it's part of a story. This is how I understand things now. But the thing that is not the story is the um, the, the is like it's like the stage and the auditorium where the audience is and the stage and the actors going on the stage, and we may feel that we're one of these actors, or we may just see that we're watching other people interact and we're in the audience. But all of that's experience, and yet underneath all of that and this awareness is actually the awareness is the bliss, and the bliss is the grace of God. And the grace of God is the oneness of God, which is sublime. And at the same time, it erases us. It erases us. Um,
Can I ask you about that erasure? Because what I find is it doesn't necessarily erase me, but ultimately fulfills me. And the image that comes to mind is, I can see why some traditions would think it erases or write in that way or speak to eradicating the ego. But from my experience, it seems more to be the complete fulfillment and maturity of the ego rather than the eradication of the ego, like almost a return to um, the natural order of these bodies, these minds, these senses being an end organ of that awareness. And so they get the ultimate fulfillment from being a receptor or as receptive as possible to the deepest sense of self, which are those things that you mentioned. So that
yeah,
semantics, what do you think about that semantics between eradicating
yeah.
the ego or
I
maturing the ego or cosmic ego?
I have a book I'm going to mention to you. You can pick it up free online. It's an anarchist book called The Ego and its own. I forget who it's by right now, but it's a wonderful meditation on. It was written in a sort of anti-Hegelian way, but it's a fascinating book. It's an anarchist book called The Ego and Its Own, and read from the point of view, and I take Antoine, that you're probably mystically inclined. I know I am, but you may read it in a way you'll read it differently because you're a mystic than the way that some other people may read it as a way of putting down this conundrum of it. Yeah, it's I used to I had in a period of retreat in my life. A long time ago now, well over 50 years. When I was going through a period of cooking myself to be comfortable with the absolute unity of the divine. And I used to say to myself over and over again, my natural mantra was, there is only God. There is only God. And I realized that the voice was mine, and it wasn't a question. It was there was only God, and I knew that the voice was two voices, one voice with one identity. It was me, Paul, saying there is only God, and there is God saying there is only God. And it was the same words spoken, but it was my trying to deal with this uh, reality of God was here before we existed, and the proof of God is not in existence, which in some people for a lot of people existence and experience are kind of twin toys of the brain, but the is it's not you can't prove God. You can all the natural proofs of God can be broken down and seen wanting as proofs. There are no proofs of God, but there is something that's beyond the proof of God, which is God's self, and that is, of course, the motive for existence. And the motive for existence is love. And that's as true in Islam and Christianity and Judaism. It's the motive for existence is love. And that is beyond proof, you know. And when faced with that love, I naturally I feel like Islam in the sense of surrender, of you surrender. There's only God.
Hmm. Wow. This is perfect, perfect timing, perfect, uh,
Endpoint.
perfect landing. Amazing, beautiful. Wow, right on time. So beautiful. When faced with this love, I surrender. I feel that. I feel that very deeply. Feel that within every cell of my body. I feel that. I feel the expansion of my heart in that surrender. I feel the shatterness that my heart just expands so much. It's like having stretch mark in my heart from that love, and it's overwhelming. That love is really overwhelming, and it's so beautiful how you said it, because the the response to that overwhelm of love is a bow down, is a surrender, is a gesture of awe, of recognition that this love unconditionally is pouring at us without even asking for it. It's what a beautiful grace, mercy that it's just showering us in each moment. Thank you all very much for coming on this, being part of this this gathering. I am, and we are honored to be in such beautiful company, and may we continue being in this light and bowing and surrender to this light, and at the same time reflecting that light towards in the spaces that we are in, and towards people that's around us, places and things. Alhamdulillah, thank God. I see.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Before
Abraham,
we
are we with us? Or-
You're with us. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you all
Hope
very
to
much.
thank you guys. Love you guys so much.
take care.
Looking forward
Be
to
well.
next month. Let's
Yes,
do it again.
let's do it
Thank you,
again.
Paul, Osama, Abraham.
And
Amazing.
David will probably watching this. Thank you all.
David.